Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your pre-trip webinar for the Mighty Mekong trip happening in just under a month from now. Wow, it's coming up fast. Excited to have you all on board. We've got a number of people that signed up. We're going to give it probably a minute or two because we do have a full ship on this program. So I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to join into the webinar and get all the information and get all of your questions answered. So we're going to give it a minute or two before we get started. As I say, I see about half of our group have logged in so far, but of course we are sending out a replay of this pre-trip webinar to you. So if for some reason you aren't on today, you will get the information, and we're covering a lot of the information that is in the documents that were already sent to you. So it is noon, and so good morning or good midday to all of you that have joined in. I'm not going to say hello to everybody because otherwise I go down a long list, but you'll all get to meet each other very, very soon when you arrive in Siem Reap in just a few weeks' time. And I'm sure you're all excited. I'm excited for you. You're going to have an amazing time. This is such a great trip. The Mekong is sublime. Anyway, whatever. I'll get into all of it in a second. As I say, it is, I see it's noon, and I'll say hello to your two fantastic hosts, to Amber and to Rose. Good morning to Rose out on the West Coast, I assume.
Yes, yeah. Still here.
Still here, still there. Yeah. And Amber, who of course is in Ontario. So good morning.
Good morning.
And I've been asked to do most of the talking, so I'll do that. I'm good at it. So of course, Amber and Rose, who are going to be with you for this journey, are going to chime in if I miss anything or if I say something out of turn. They will chime in and help me out here because obviously they're well versed on the details of this trip. So let me have a quick look at. Good. We've had a bunch more members sign in, so I think we're going to start anyway. So welcome everyone to your pre-trip webinar for your upcoming Mighty Mekong trip that is, of course, starting on the 14th of November in Siem Reap. And so I'm going to be covering, what I'll do is I'll go to the first slide where we have the agenda. So first of all, I'm going to introduce your hosts and then tell you a little bit about some of the things that you want to think about in preparing for your trip, as well as your arrival into Siem Reap. I'm going to touch on the itinerary. I'm not going to go into great detail about it, but if you do have questions about any aspect of it, please do raise them. If you have questions, you can type them in the chat box, which some of you have already done, or in the Q&A box. We'll find them there, and we'll try and get all your questions answered. If you have a question specific to your booking, like your own personal arrangements, that's a question best addressed to Paula or Barb, whoever signed you up from the trip from Wheel and Anchor. But if you have a question about the itinerary that is sort of general interest, please, because if you have the question, probably somebody else will as well. So first of all, you've got two hosts, Amber, with a big giant picture here, also on the side of your screen, and Rose. Sorry, we don't have a picture for you, Rose, so we just have you live in person. And so... Okay. And Rose have already hosted a bunch of trips for us in the past. You guys want to say hello? Just a quick something.
Sure. Rose, why don't you go first?
Hello, everyone. Good morning from BC. I'm really excited about this trip. I've been to Cambodia and Vietnam before, and it's one of my favorite places. So looking forward to meeting you all.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Oh, fantastic. And hi, everybody. I'm Amber, and I am also really looking forward to this trip. I'm so excited to be hosting with Rose, who I had the pleasure of being in Croatia with just a little while ago, and I think we are just going to have a ball. I, too, have been to Cambodia and Vietnam, but I haven't been there since I was 18 with a backpack on my back. So I am very excited to be back in a lot of country that I loved, I imagine. Yes.
Yeah.
Because 18 was not just last year. So yes.
Maybe 5 years ago. I haven't been to Vietnam since 1994, so I haven't been there in 30 years. So I'm a little bit jealous, actually, that you're going, because I love this trip. I love Panda. But let's get right into it, because I want to finish up by in about 40 minutes, because this webinar will be followed by, for those who are continuing on our Vietnam program that immediately follows this. This is going to follow right after, so we kind of want to keep on time. First of all, what to know? First, make sure you have a passport. Obviously, we wouldn't have signed you up if you didn't have a passport. Make sure you know where it is. Don't put it somewhere else. And all the usual stuff. So, I mean, that's the obvious one. Obviously, and again, as I said at the outset, all of the information is detailed in even more detail than we're going to talk about today in that pre-trip information document. I assume you've read it from cover to cover. If you haven't, please do. But specifically for this trip, when you arrive to Cambodia, of course, you can get an e-visa in advance, but it's kind of a bit of a hassle. You're just as easy to do it when you arrive. And so we suggest just do it when you arrive, because there'll be assistance from our partners in Cambodia that will be there to help you out at customs, and it's just a lot easier, right? But for Vietnam, because of course we're crossing from Cambodia to Vietnam on the ship, you must have the e-visa in advance. If you haven't already done it, please do it right away. I'm not going to go through all the procedure for that. It's an online application. It doesn't take long. Amber, you did yours, yeah, and it was pretty straightforward. Yeah.
It was, and I know we actually made a video when I did the visa. However, because there was so much sensitive information, and we actually couldn't put dummy information in to make the video, blacking all of the sensitive information rendered the video completely useless. So the truth is, follow the instructions and just follow line by line, and you will make your way through doing this. The big thing about when you're doing the Vietnam e-visa is anything that's not mandatory, just leave it blank, because that's the only information you won't have access to. Otherwise, just go ahead and fill it in. It takes between 1 and 3 days to receive the email confirmation that it's come through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's really pretty straightforward. So other than that, and when you do get that visa, if you didn't already, please send a copy to Aura, our sales administrator, who will make sure that we have it on file. We're just going to check up on everybody, make sure that everybody's got what they need and that it's properly done. And as I say, if you haven't already done it, and I think most of the folks on the trip have already done it, please take care of that as soon as possible. Otherwise, there's not much else you need in terms of documentation. I do always suggest take a picture of the information page of your passport, or make a photocopy of it if you have access to a photocopy machine. It's always good to have copies of this stuff just in case. And the same thing would apply to your e-ticket. You don't technically need an e-ticket to travel, of course, with a plane these days, but it's a good idea because there's numbers on there and references that if for some reason the airline has a problem that they can refer to. On the topic of copies of stuff, make a copy of any prescriptions that you use. Once again, it's like I've been in the situation where members have lost medication, or it was in their luggage or something. So any information that you should know, and I say the same thing about, we use Google Photos as an example for collecting members' photos on the trip, and so if you don't already use it, sign up for Google Photos. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but the point being is that take your password with you for your Google account, because if for some reason you need a hand or something like that, if you have your password with you, and I always say, because you never know if you get logged out of your phone, out of your email, so having passwords with you is never a bad idea, because if it's at home, guess what? You're not going to get your email, or you're not going to get into your photos. So let's talk a little bit about what to pack, specifically clothing wise. The weather, as you probably know, is going to be warm. So you're looking at temperatures in the high 20s and low 30s. It is generally fairly dry at this time of the year, but I qualify that by saying Weather is unpredictable, period, full stop. So you want to be prepared. You want to be prepared that, you could get a cloudburst in the middle of the day. So, having a light jacket, and I emphasize light because it will be warm. It will be warm throughout the entire trip. And so think about that with the clothing, think about it with your footwear. Also, because of course we're visiting all these incredible temples, Angkor Wat being the pinnacle of all of them, but there'll be a bunch of other ones along the way. It is important to dress respectfully. You do need to cover your shoulders, your knees need to be covered. So although shorts are acceptable, ideally they should cover the knees. If not, you should have a sarong or a pashmina or something that you can bring along to cover yourself up. And here's my thing, and I say this about any trip, is dress respectfully, considering that, this is a culture, a religion that we're not accustomed to. And so our members do anyway. I mean, I feel like I almost don't need to say this, but, don't wear tank tops, don't wear sort of low cut blouses if you're a woman, like just dress respectfully, dress light cottons, anything like that is for the warm weather, and that's not revealing because, it's just otherwise considered disrespectful. I always think that easily removable shoes is good in case you have to take them off to go into a temple. That being said, sandals is fine. Flip-flops are not ideal for touring around in the temples or into some of the villages disembarking the boat. Sandals are fine, but I would have sandals like Tiva type things that are really fixed on your foot, ideally closed toe, because you just never know, if you stub your toe on a ruin of a temple, it happens. So I think that, putting a little bit of extra thought into your footwear is important. You're going to be wearing this all day long. You want it to be comfortable. I don't think running shoes, I mean, you can certainly wear like running shoes if you wish, but, there is a chance that, they could get damp or wet. So again, keep that in mind, and it's worth it. If you don't have suitable footwear, then invest in something, go to Mountain Equipment Co-op or somewhere and get something that's going to be good for this environment. You'll use them again anywhere, right? Sun protection. You're going to be out in the sun. There isn't any shade other than, certain arches and so on in Angkor Wat, but you're going to be out in the sun for good chunks of the day. So hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, critical. Please don't forget to bring that along. Listen, you can buy a lot of this stuff in the markets in Siem Reap when you get there as well. So don't panic if you forget something or if you don't have the right thing. There are tons of markets in Siem Reap when you arrive. So it's not drastic. And so honestly, sometimes I don't even bring stuff and I pick it up at the market there. But, you just want to be prepared, ready to go with all the rest of that. Amber, is there anything else, I think, clothing wise, in terms of what to pack? I think we covered most of those things. Or Rose, anything else that you suggest? I think I covered the majority of it. The other things to remember are sorry, were you want to say something? No. Okay. Obviously travel adapters and plugs. So you the plugs are a bit of a dog's breakfast in both Cambodia and Vietnam. So they use North American style plugs like the ones that we're familiar with. They use European style plugs, and you'll even find British style plugs. Woohoo! So just to be safe, have a universal travel adapter, because that will take care of all of your needs. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Have a universal travel adapter so that you can cover all three bases in a pinch. The voltage is 220 or 230. Most appliances, most chargers, most electronic devices will accommodate dual voltage, so you don't have to worry about that. But I know, as Amber has mentioned in the past, if you're somebody that uses a certain kind of hair dryer or a hair straightener, and even we've heard about some hearing aid chargers that operate only on 110 volts, in which case, if you have something like that and you can check the label, then you would need a voltage converter. So this is a little bit of a heavier, thicker box that actually converts voltage from 220 to 110. Most people shouldn't need that, but just double check if there is anything like that that you're planning to bring along. Because we also would like you to bring your mobile phone. And I'll get into about that when we talk about Telegram and how we communicate with our members during the trip. So do bring your phone. Also, I suggest bringing insect repellent. It's not typically super buggy, but when you're on the river and or if you're in at one of the sampans doing a little boat cruise, there can be bugs around. Believe me, my experience in Asia, in this part of Asia, is the bugs aren't as bad as they are at home in the summertime. But still, they could be bothersome. Our insect repellents in Canada are, I think, the world's best. So, stick some of that in your luggage and you won't regret it. I said before, copies of prescriptions, medications, please, anything like that is, particularly if it's critical to your health, in your hand luggage. Don't put it in your checked luggage, just in case. A couple other things. One tip, I always mention this on every trip, particularly in more tropical type environments, Ziploc bags. So this way you can put your wallet, you can put some money, you can put your phone, you can put anything that you're carrying around that might otherwise get wet if you get a cloud burst or if you get a splash of water or something like that. Ziploc bags, for me, are like the traveler's essential item. If you are somebody that is using some piece of equipment that needs to be beside your bed at night, so for example, a CPAP machine. I'm not sure, Amber, if you check the list, if we have any CPAP machine users on this trip, I'm not sure. But
I haven't seen it. It's not listed. If
just in case you missed it or you didn't let us know, it's no problem. But if you want it beside the bed, the plug in the cabin, or for that matter in a hotel room, usually is next to the bed. But then you might want to think about bringing a short extension cord just to be sure that it can be where it needs to be. Because particularly when you get on a boat, it's not necessarily so easy to get those kind of things, if in case you didn't bring it along. And I have here as well, again, this is something you could pick up in the market if you feel like it. Those little battery operated fans are really, really handy because it can be quite warm during the day. And, we're coming out of November, so we're going to be all coming from cold weather, and you get to the tropics and you're going to be sweating instantly because it is also on the humid side. So one of those little battery operated fans are great because it just does help keep you cool. I think that's it for other things to remember.
So Gordon, there was one question about back to what to pack. There was a question from a member around, are dresses okay or longer pants?
Yeah, no, light dresses are absolutely okay. Great, recommended, lovely, whatever you feel comfortable in. I neglected to mention that this is casual. So number one, it's just us on the boat. We have the whole boat. All right. Now we're split into groups, as you know, right? So everything that we do will be split into groups. So we're not like one big group of how many people have we got in total, Amber?
36 or 38. Yeah.
So we'll be split into small groups for 2 groups at least for going on our excursions and so on and so forth. But it's just us, so you can let your hair down, but it's casual. So you don't need to wear anything fancy. So light dresses, absolutely. Skirts, but again, preferably if you're going to go out touring around, that ones that cover the knee. Pants are great. Honestly, those I call them mountain equipment co-op pants, but they're like those versatile wet dry pants that you can zip off at the knee. They're not exactly a fashion statement, but let me tell you, they are super practical. Because again, for the temperature, the weather, protecting yourself against any bugs that come along, I think those things are amazing. Okay, good. I'm going to move along and talk about money. So in Cambodia, they do have a currency called the riel, but actually in Cambodia, they use the US dollar. So this is one of those places I generally don't recommend going out and getting US dollars, but for this trip, I do. So in Cambodia, they use US dollars. You'll probably find the odd trinket or this or that at the market that you want to get. And so therefore, if you can get small bills, 1s and 5s, US dollars, do bring those along. How much? it's kind of up to you. I mean, we have obviously a lot of, the trip covers most of what you need in terms of meals and all the rest of that, maybe a snack here or there. So it's really just for sort of sundry items, souvenirs that you might want to pick up along the way. And in shops, they will take credit cards. In larger restaurants, they take credit cards, and obviously on the boat and on in the hotels. But in the markets, it's cash. And in Cambodia, it's US dollars. The other thing to note is if you are going to bring any currency, any US dollars, is they need to be clean bills. They can't have tears. If there's a tear or like a rip or anything in it, they won't take it. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to the bank to get some cash, take clean money. Vietnam, on the other hand, is the Vietnamese dong. They will take US dollars as well, but it's better to have local currency in Vietnam. It's better to have the dong. So Cambodia, US dollars, Vietnam, dong. And there's like 17,000 of them to $1. You can get, there are ATMs. When I say everywhere, obviously when we're cruising down the river, down the Mekong in a village, you're not necessarily going to find an ATM, but certainly in Siem Reap, they're everywhere. In Ho Chi Minh City, they're everywhere. In Phnom Penh, you can find them all over the place. In between, not so much. They do charge an ATM fee. In Cambodia, it's usually around $5 US, could be more. I always look for banks. So I don't go to, they have in Europe these Euronet machines, which are like independent companies that charge you kind of exorbitant fees. So our local guides will point you in the right direction, where the best place to get money out of the bank. That being said, we recommend, and we get nothing for it, but we do recommend the Wise card. It's a multi-currency prepaid debit card. So you basically charge it up. You can, once you apply for it, all the information is in our pre-trip information document. You go online, you apply for the card, you get the digital card like literally like instantly or within it's almost instant. The physical card you can get sent to you in the mail. There's an app like you see on the screen. You can load it up with whatever, $500 Canadian or whatever. You can transfer it into different currencies, or you can just use it to pay. You can load it up on your on your iPhone, and I think also on an Android as into your digital wallet. So you can just tap it. I use this thing all the time. I seldom even have my physical credit cards with me. But the other benefit to the Wise card is that there's at least they have the best exchange rates, better than any Canadian bank. And they don't charge you withdrawal fees on the bank, the card end for the first like $350 that you withdraw in Canadian dollars. The ATM still charge a fee, but you can't get away from that no matter what card you use. So that's the Wise card. And is there anything else I wanted to say about that? With that phone, I would recommend that you download a currency exchange app. I like xe.com, just so that, because it's 17,000 to 1. I mean, who the heck can remember that, let alone do the math in your head? So if you have a currency exchange app, when you see the price of something, you can just type it in and then you know automatically what it is in Canadian dollars. Makes life a lot easier. Good. That's it for money. Telegram. So if you've been on a wheel and anchor trip before, you will know that we use this app called Telegram for communication with our members while on trip. So if you have used it before, ignore what I'm going to say. If you haven't, Telegram is like any other messaging app. It works like WhatsApp. It works like Messenger. They're more or less the same. It is a point-to-point system for sending messages, but also our hosts use it to send messages to the whole group. So typically what happens is, in the evening before the previous day or the late afternoon, you'll get a message from Amber or Rose saying, here's the program for tomorrow. Here's what you need to know. Here's general information. Or in the morning of, if something comes up, if there's a change, then it's one easy way for us to get the message. You've got Wi-Fi in the hotels. You've got Wi-Fi on board the ship. So you can always access it. You don't need to get a SIM card for your mobile phone. If you want one, you can buy a prepaid SIM card in Siem Reap at the airport, or I think not far from the hotel. so that, but that'll be good in Cambodia. Then of course you need another one for Vietnam, which will be trickier because when you arrive into Vietnam at the border, there's no place to buy a SIM card. So, but again, it's not really essential to have a SIM card for this trip. It's handy, but not needed. The Telegram app, though, please do follow the instructions in the pre-trip information, download it onto your phone, set it up, say hello to Amber. I think, Amber, your handle, your nickname, or whatever, your username is in there.
It is.
And yeah, that way, if you have it set up before you leave Canada, first of all, you'll avoid any technical problems that you might have in installing it. And if you do have a problem, talk to a family member, preferably one that's, you know, a few years younger or many years younger. They will take your phone and they'll go like this, and it'll be set up in about a minute. So if you have a problem, talk to a younger member of the family or a friend, and they will help you set it up. And then when you arrive or en route, if you have access to Wi-Fi and there's a problem, you can send Amber a message and say, hey, I've got a problem. My flight's delayed or something happened. So it's a great tool. Our members, once you've gotten over a little bit of the learning curve at the beginning, it's a fantastic tool. All the information is in there. I'll let you read that and check it out. So just a couple of words about health protocols. First of all, our trips are all non-smoking. So that doesn't mean if you're a smoker, you can't come along. Of course you can, but we just ask that if you are someone that likes to smoke, that you do it away from any other members. Like, for example, on the boat, there's like a designated area on an outer deck for it, just because the majority of our members are non-smokers, and they just, you know, we just appreciate just not having that around. So that's what we request for anybody that does smoke. More importantly, though, if you at any point feel ill, if you have a symptom, like if you have a sneeze or a cough, you feel something coming on, please let either Amber or Rose know so that they're aware. And please, if you have any kind of symptom, we ask you to wear a mask. Why? Even if you have an allergic reaction to something like that. But listen, in the post-COVID era, you know, we've all been, whatever, riding a bus or somewhere, or we've been at an event and somebody's coughing up a lung next to us, and it just feels weird because you just don't know. We all know COVID is still around. In fact, you know, it's around as much as it ever has been. Thankfully, it's not as bad now, but still, just out of respect for everybody else, bring a mask, wear a mask if you're symptomatic. That's just common courtesy is what I would call it. Good. I'm motoring right along here. So you're all ready to go on the trip, and in the 24 hours before your flight leaves, do keep an eye on your email in case there is notification from your airline of a delayed flight. And so don't panic. And if you, prior to departure, here's a couple things. First of all, there's jet lag involved here because obviously there's a big time difference between Canada and Cambodia, depending on what time zone you're in. Amber recommends an app called timeshifter.com, right? Don't you, Amber?
I do. I am a huge proponent of this. I cannot believe the results using this app.
Yeah, so the details are in there. Download it on your phone. A few days, I think it's just like 3 or 4 days before the trip. It will give you advice on how to adjust your schedule and when to drink coffee. And it really does work in helping you adjust to the local time zone so that when you arrive in, you're not like feeling totally weird, tired in the middle of the day. So check it out. It's a great one. Double check your luggage weight before you go to the airport for what's allowed on your flight. Everybody has usually it's one bag, 23 kilograms, but some people have more or less. Leave room for stuff that you might bring along on the way back, because you will. I almost guarantee it. So yeah, leave a little extra space in your luggage. Get to the airport early. Be comfortable. I say flying is not a fashion show. I know some people would disagree. They want to look fabulous on the plane. I don't think it's necessary. Be comfortable because it's a long flight. There's no two ways about it. If during your travels there is a delay such that you will miss a connection. We've all got connection flights getting there. So if the flight from Canada to Hong Kong or to Bangkok or wherever you're flying through is delayed and you will miss your connection, it's really important that you email delays@wheelandanchor.ca. And I would suggest if you've set up Telegram, you send a message to Amber. This way we know, there's a problem, you're missing your connection, and then we can inform our partners to make sure that they know what time you're arriving. And even if you don't know, just let us know. Then it's like, oh, we're on a high alert that somebody has been delayed. And that way we can be prepared and sort of make sure we get in touch with you. And yeah, so that's really, really important to note. If your flight is delayed by 10 minutes, when you're flying into Siem Reap, you don't need to let us know. We'll know that your flight is late. It's just that if you're not on the flight that you're supposed to be on, that's obviously what we won't know unless you tell us. Okay, cool. When you arrive in Siem Reap, in the meantime, it's a brand new airport you're flying to, by the way. The airport just opened yesterday, I don't know, within the last couple of days. Brand new airport in Siem Reap. It's a little bit further out of town, but still not too far. It's, I think, about a 20-25 minute drive. So I don't know what this airport looks like, but it's brand new. So as a result, given that, the first month when they open an airport, there tends to be a bit of chaos because nobody knows where to stand and where to park and this and that and the other thing. Your driver will be there. So just look for a sign which will either have your name or the Wheel and Anchor logo, which you're hopefully familiar with by now, or both. He'll have one of those things. So, and if you don't see him right away, I always say, just look around because he might not be, sometimes you arrive in and there's like 10,000 signs with names on them. Just, take a deep breath. You'll find him. He'll be there. And as I say, there's Wi-Fi in the airport. So you can always, if you're in a panic, send a message to Amber by Telegram. Again, good reason to use Telegram. And we'll make sure that you get sorted for your arrival, and then you'll get transferred out to the hotel, and that'll be that. So
Gordon, there is a question. Some guests haven't received their notice of the change in the airports in Siem Reap. And what I have been finding is some airlines canceled routes and reissued new route numbers. Some airlines didn't. So what we're finding is they're just transferring to the new airport is what's assumed.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening. So there is no flight change. They might not even tell you, because literally the plane is landing over there instead of landing over there. The flight number is the same. The airport code, actually, no, did they change? No, did they change?
They changed the airport code. They did.
They did change the airport code.
This is the other thing to watch, though. In your flight booking, you may get a notice saying that one of your flights has changed or been canceled, and the flight number into Siem Reap may be not showing up online. So in the transition, it's a little odd. Like, I spent 3 hours on the phone with EVA Airlines because they wouldn't let me do something with my first flight to deal with the second flight. And they're like, oh, it's just because the airport changed. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay, thanks. So there may be a little bit of mishigosh that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, cool. So as I say, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the itinerary. We're just going to dive right in. You were, of course, arriving in Siem Reap, the first days there in and around Angkor Wat and all of the amazing temples. Anyway, it's such an amazing place. You're then going to transfer down by coach down to Kampong Cham, where you're going to embark upon the ship for the 7-night cruise. It's going to take you all the way down the Mekong River to Ben Tre, which is then where you make the short transfer, the short hop up to Ho Chi Minh for the last couple of nights, and then continuing on for those who are on our Vietnam program that immediately follows. So Siem Reap, in the meantime, is a giant city which is primarily exists for tourism. Obviously, it was a town before. Our hotel is in the thick of it all, and it is, because of Angkor Wat, it's a pretty touristy place, but it has cool markets. What I love about Cambodia and Vietnam is that they all speak English, pretty much all of them. Like, it's really remarkable. Vietnam as well, but a bit less so. So anybody that's been to Thailand, Thailand is like the worst for English language knowledge amongst the locals, but Cambodia, the young people have all learned it from a young age. So language is actually pretty easy. It's pretty easy to get around. It's very safe. It's busy and chaotic. And I say this, please keep your wits about you. Amber will remind you, Rose will remind you. They're zipping around on motorbikes and all the rest of it. Just, yeah, keep your wits about you when in and around Siem Reap. Try the food. Try everything. There's so many different, interesting, unique flavors. And I know the temptation is if you see something you're not quite sure what it is, to order a burger instead. But honestly, they have such amazing food. So just a couple of things to mention. And again, the itinerary is all laid out for you. It's always subject to change. That's why it's important to have the Telegram app so that Amber or Rose can let you know the evening before if there's a change to our departure time. The one thing that I want to mention is on our third day, pardon me, we will have an early start in Angkor Wat. And so generally I'm like, we're chill at Wheel and Anchor. We like to leave on our tours at 9 a.m., but we're going to get you up before sunrise on that day, because believe me, when you drive around the backside and we're going to drive around, we're going to go into the East Gate and you're going to see the sunrise over Angkor Wat. And I tell you, it is going to send a chill down your spine. You might even start crying. I know I did. It is incredible. It's absolutely worth it. It's so cool. And if it's rainy, you'll have morning mist, because it could be. Unlikely in November. It's usually pretty dry. But the mists around, like whatever the weather is, this place is enchanting. So I just wanted to mention that. Bante Sray, blah, blah, blah. Mekong River. So the drive down to the Mekong River is going to be about 4.5 hours. We haven't put the exact departure time in yet because it'll be coordinated between our folks that provide the transport for us from Siem Reap and the ship. But it's quite a long drive. We'll make sure that you have water and all the rest of that available for the trip. And you'll get to the boat, say a few words about the Indochina Panda. You may have noticed, or it was put in our documents, that we changed ships. Let me tell you, the ships are identical. So I've worked with Panda for many, many, many years. Their ships I love them because they're all done in teak, like you see here. They are like stepping back in time. And so the Basok Panda and the Indochina Panda are like the same. They're exactly the same. So they just, for technical reasons, they had to swap out the ships. On board the ship, the cabins are modest but cozy because they're all done in wood. The loungy areas, like you see here with these deck chairs, you're just going to want to be outside all the time. There's air-conditioned parts. Obviously, your cabin is air-conditioned. The inside lounge is air-conditioned. But I really suggest that you try to acclimatize and not spend time in the air conditioning all the time, because it's going in and out is kind of the thing that can make you sick. That's just my experience. Acclimatize. You're going to sweat. We say in Asia, let sweat be sweat. Just sweat. Who cares? But enjoy the fresh breezes as you're sailing down the Mekong. You have on board the ship, your beverages are included. That is soft drinks and local alcoholic beverages. So beer and local spirits are all included in the program. The only thing that's not is wine. So you will get a card to charge. If you decide you want to order wine for dinner, you'll get a card to charge. You can settle that up at the end of the cruise with a credit card or cash. So just to let you know about that. Otherwise, our dining will be either inside or out, depending on various factors. Again, you'll know because it's just us on the boat, and Amber and Rose will point you in the right direction. And the crew is lovely. It's so lovely. I wish I was going. Yeah, just to give you a little bit of a sense of the cabins. They're comfy, they're cozy, and they have quite spacious bathrooms. From my last time I was on Panda. yeah, again, we chose them for a reason because I really, really love their boats. Yeah, you're going to see lots of fun things. You're going to see all kinds of different sort of folklore and traditional martial arts, and like this Bokator here that they do in the Khmer people. You're going to see these amazing temples. Phnom Penh is a safe enough city, but it, you know, again, it is a big Asian city. It's just wise. It's the traffic is the biggest thing that you need to be mindful of. Obviously, don't take valuables and all the rest of this stuff. It's safe. You know, the likelihood of getting pickpocketed is small, but it's not impossible. People ask, do I need to wear a money belt? I haven't worn a money belt in Asia for 20 years. I don't think it's necessary. But at the same time, just, you know, tuck your wallets into your front and just be responsible like you would anywhere these days. You'll cross the border on the boat. Obviously, they'll do a document check on board. That's why it's important to have that visa that we talked about before. You'll do some cruising around in these sampans through some of these mangroves and so on. It's just absolutely lovely. Good point. We cover tipping for all of the staff that we are sort of, how can I say, in control of, in the sense of all of the crew on the ship, in the restaurants, or the drivers and the local guides and so on and so forth. So we've looked after that. There could be a place where, you know, you take a tuk-tuk driver or something like that in Siem Reap. So you might want to hand them $1 or $2 in that case. But otherwise, for any services that we've done, we take care of the gratuities. That's part of your program. Let's see. Is there anything else relative to the itinerary that needs to be mentioned? I don't think so. You're going to be on the boat for 7 days. It's all there in great detail. You'll get to Ho Chi Minh City, and well, the ship will embark. You'll get always luggage assistance, so they'll help you with to bring the luggage on board the ship. In some cases, the ship may dock, not even dock, but sort of moor next to an embankment. So they drop this gangway off the ship, which is all stable, and there's always the crew is always there to assist. But again, sturdy shoes and so on is always important for that, so that yeah, we avoid any accidents. And then yeah, you'll end up in Ho Chi Minh City, where you have the last couple of nights. We'll have a wonderful farewell dinner waiting for you there. I'm excited for you for that. We're staying at a lovely hotel, and then the trip will come to an end for those who are not continuing on to Vietnam. And yeah, I think it's time to field any questions that we didn't already answer.
There is a question about any special direction voucher information for early arrivals.
Yes. So there is just the only information is you'll have your transfer voucher if you're arriving early that you should have already gotten. If you haven't, please drop a note to Paula or Barb, and they will make sure that gets sent to you. So that's the only thing you need, which is basically who's picking you up at the airport when you arrive in Siem Reap. Yeah, that's the only thing you need. So if you
just comment about Ho Chi Minh City. The last time I was there, which was less than probably 7 years ago, and my sister-in-law was taking a picture with her iPad, and a motorcycle came by and grabbed it. So do not be standing somewhere where you're alone, and you know, and pull out your camera or your phone.
Yeah, and I think that's great advice, Rose, and thanks for mentioning that. I mean, my attitude is traveling around the world is I try to not look like a tourist.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, you're making yourself into a target. And I would say that in New York City, the same as I would say that in Ho Chi Minh City. So I think that's a great point. I mean, obviously we're there to take pictures. It's not to say to suppress yourself in any way, but just be, you know, I always sort of take a look around. Where am I standing? You know, what's going on? Get a lay of the situation, and then, you know, just be mindful. And of course, you know, Amber and Rose, they're going to be there, also sort of keeping an eye on things. So we just don't want anything negative to happen, right?
No.
Cool. Good. I think we answered that. I think we answered that. I think we answered everything. What is the currency exchange app? It's called, the one I use is called XE. You can find it at xe.com. There are tons of them. You just type in currency exchange app on your app store or on your Google Play Store, and you'll find a million of them. I just like XE because that's the one I like. But oh, I see you answered that already. Okay, cool. Good deal. Great timing. It is 12:45 Toronto time, and we're going to start the pre-trip webinar for those continuing on Vietnam. And some of the information will be repeated, so excuse me for that. If you do have anything other questions that we missed, please drop a note to Paula or Barb. I think the contact information is there. And have an amazing time. You're in great hands with these two women. It's going to be a ton of fun. I wish you all the best. I wish I was coming along. Yeah, have an absolute blast. And
one last thing, Gordon.
Yeah.
If you have anything specific to talk about in the trip to either Rose or I, Telegram is the best way to reach out to us before the trip as well. So get yourself on a Telegram and you can drop us a question, because I know there's a member that's thinking about doing some kind of photo tour and they had some questions for us. That's the best way to reach out to us before the trip as well, as on Telegram.
Yeah, the Telegram, one of the member asked about the names for Telegram. It's in the pre-trip information document. So just check that section. And the information is in there with their usernames. Okay, good. Let's see. We're going to sign up. Yeah. Thanks again, guys. Have a great time, and we'll see you on another webinar soon. Bye-bye.